Yes, welcome back to How Did I Get Here? Of course, this is the show where we're asking the question, how did you get here? Another musical act on the show today. Joining us today, it's Elliot Lee and Steve Florick from Late 90s, a band that's, not just on the rise here in Perth, but really all over. Let's jump right into it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We've got Steve here, you're the singer, and Elliot, you're the drummer.
Yep.
You've also got Zach and Brody, I think it is. They're not here today, but representing Late 90s is you two.
Yep.
As I do my research starting off with these interviews, I think I saw about 10 different genres apply to you guys. You've got like punk, rock, metal, indie, pop punk, I could go on. What genre do you guys like? Yeah.
Instead of picking one, we just like to put a bit of umbrella and just say alternative rock.
Right, yeah.
I think it's just easier. It's like we used to say
grungy
punk and punky grunge.
and then pop punk. And then we were like, let's just alt rock is easier.
Yeah, it's just easier.
Yeah.
It's like say an umbrella because like so much could be alt rock.
Yeah, it can.
You don't have to like kind of pigeonhole yourself, and people don't really like know what to expect as well. So
and there's so much difference, I think, in your music, from song to song.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's
definitely,
just easier,
especially
isn't it?
our
Yeah.
first few songs versus like now. Yeah.
Well, let's really get into the late 90s story. Starting off early for you guys, when did music first enter your lives?
My dad always has played guitar, and I used to get forced to do piano lessons from a young age. I think that's kind of I was listening to the Dice one, and I think Tom was saying he was forced into doing.
I think a lot
lessons.
of us were, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I hated piano, and then got to like year 7, and I auditioned for the music program. And I really wanted to play drums, actually.
Oh, tension.
But all the drum spots were already taken because you had to do a little music test thing, and I didn't get in the first round, so I was in the second round. So all the good instruments were taken,
right?
And then I had singing as a third option, and then all the spots were taken, and then I just ended up doing singing. So I took singing lessons in high school from year 7 to all the way through to year 12, and absolutely hated it. Year 7 to year 11, pretty much. I didn't tell any of the boys that I took singing lessons.
Classic.
I'd get ripped into pieces.
The singing lessons.
Where are you going? I'm just going to my singing lessons.
What about you, Elliot?
So I was real young, probably before year 1. I joined this music school and started doing music lessons. I was playing guitar and drums, and then I had to pick one, and I was like, drums are easier for me, so I stuck with drums. And then this music school kind of put me into bands and stuff when I was real young, so I started gigging in bands when I was year 1, year 2, playing at the Hyde Park Hotel. It was real strange looking back.
That's going to be strange, yeah.
Yeah, it set me up. And then, me, Zach and Brody, the twins who aren't here, we've been playing in bands together since probably primary school, and then different bands, different members. Yeah. And then we found our man in Steve.
Well, the decision to play drums, Elliot, in school it kind of makes sense, but having a kit in the home, what did mum and dad think of that? Were they? It's a big.
I think we bought my first kit off my cousin because she played drums.
Right. Yeah.
So we bought that and then just chucked me in the garage and locked the door, and they were fine with it.
So, of course, here at Student Edge, we love to hear about people's student lives. You mentioned a bit of that, how that music played into your lives as students. But, how would you describe yourselves, you two, as students?
I don't know.
That's a hard question.
That is a hard question. I feel like it changed because in year 7, year 8, I kind of just wanted to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of normal.
Yeah,
and year 9, year 10, I was just playing basketball the whole time.
Yeah.
Year 11, and then year 12, I was kind of starting to get into music a bit more. So I was kind of hanging out with more of the band kids, I guess,
yeah.
but like not really. I wasn't a band kid.
Yeah, right.
If that makes sense.
No, yeah, I
Swear
get
to
you.
God, I'm not a band kid.
I won't put that on you, don't worry.
Yeah.
For me, I reckon I was probably, just in with the sports, played a lot of basketball, hung out with the basketball team a lot. We did a few tours, like went to Sydney, went to Melbourne. So that was kind of my main friendship group. And then in year 11 and 12, kind of, like you said, we'd try and get a foot in the door with the popular group and go to a couple of parties and see how that life treats you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a good insight as to who you were at school is always favourite and least favourite subjects. Do you have an answer for that one?
I reckon my favourite subject was English, probably just because it felt natural to me. I don't know why. It just kind of happened, and I'd write an essay and I'd get a good mark. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this because I'm not bad at it.
Yeah, probably, I don't know, because I actually didn't mind school. Like, looking back, I'm glad I'm not in school, but
Yeah.
but at the time I didn't mind it. Probably, like, English I always kind of liked, just, like, challenging and, like, trying to think bit differently, that sort of thing, and history, and then Outdoor Ed was just easy and fun. So,
Yeah, right,
That was always good.
So finishing off at high school, is music always the plan, or is there another aspiration in the mix?
Nah, not at all.
Just music?
No. Like I went and studied journalism for 6 months.
Oh, righto.
So I went like straight into Notre Dame and like, because I loved writing, so like still do. And
Yeah.
wanted to go become a journalist, but then I realized journalism is all politics.
That's
So-
a fair bit of it, yeah.
So not everyone can work for National Geographic or Rolling Stone, which I quickly figured out. So I deferred after 6 months. And then I went and I've been studying audio engineering
Right.
at SAE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the rest of us, because we're 3-4 years older than Steve, there was kind of a big gap with the music thing. When we finished high school, our last band broke up, and then we were kind of just doing nothing in the music space for 3 or so years. Me and Zach would catch up and have a jam. Be like, oh, you should sing. No, you should sing. Oh, we both can't sing. What do we do? And then maybe about 3 years later, we found Steve and kind of started ramping it up again. And then, we all kind of looked at each other like, we want to do this. We want to have a hot crack at this and make it work.
Where'd you find him? How do you come into the mix, Steve?
We went to the same school.
Right, yeah.
And then I saw him play with another band he played with. And then I was like, I need to poach that guy.
Too good. Of course, two of the members, as you mentioned there, Zach and Brody, are twin brothers.
Yeah.
This is my curious question. Does the, you're the outsiders here in the twin relationship. Does the twin telepathic connection that they call it, does that help in creating music? Is there something there?
I think
I don't know if it helps at all.
I think it does the opposite. I think it's when they used to live together, there was some mean arguments.
Yeah.
We'd be driving to gigs some days, and they'd be sitting together in the front, just like having the biggest argument.
into each other.
Me and Steve are in the back, looking at each other like, "Is the band gonna break up again?"
Literally. Yeah, the band almost broke up one time because
Right,
Zach
yeah.
called shotgun, but Brody didn't hear him.
Shotgun, just a shotgun. Jeez. Well, thankfully it didn't. Where does the name come from? How'd you come up with that? Late
You wanna
90s.
take this one?
we were stuck for so long trying to think of names, and then we had a gig booked in, and we were like, "Oh no, we need to think of something."
Quickly.
We thought we had something set. Looking back, I'm so glad we didn't go with it. It was Goon Stains.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Bolder
now.
choice, maybe.
But we were keen on that, and then it just clicked, and we're like, no, that's a shit name.
You
can't
even
do
got
it.
some Goon Stain stickers, mate.
Yeah. And then with late 90s, I think we just watched the movie Mid-90s. It just came out, the skating
yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's a cool name. I really want to just rip that off. And we're like, oh, let's just change it to late 90s. That sounds cool.
Well, the rest of the boys were born in the late 90s. So
Yeah, me, Zach, and Brody were born in the late 90s. So
Makes sense.
Steve's the odd one out there.
Yeah.
I think it fits though, you know, with there's some punk and grunge
Yeah,
aspects.
definitely. A lot of our
influences wise.
main inspirations are from that late 90s
sure.
space.
What would you say are those main inspirations?
I mean, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, early
With
on
my-
for
with
you,
my
it was real different to what it is now.
oh yeah, when I joined the band, I wanted to be like, I don't even know, more of like an indie kind of band.
Yeah.
More
Right.
like,
I think our vision real early on was like Ocean Alley,
Sticky
Spacey
Fingers.
Jane, Sticky Fingers.
Classic.
yeah,
And then it just naturally evolved into what we started listening to.
yeah.
And me, Zach and Brody kind of corrupted his young mind with this, with this heavier music.
Turned me into an emo. Yeah.
Talking about, you know, you mentioned there you were coming up to the gig and trying to figure out your name. What was that first ever gig as late 90s?
Oh, it was a backyard gig. I think that's kind of a like common.
Yeah,
thing for
yeah,
many
pretty common,
bands,
yeah.
Yeah, it was a backyard gig, and I think we were on like probably third. I
Yeah,
can't
it was
remember.
like during the afternoon.
It was like a Sunday afternoon.
Right, yeah.
And there was people just sitting down on like on the
Yeah,
floor.
it was an event called Tunes and Textures. One of our mates used to like run it. I think it was like the third one he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, he used to just get bands down, and like there'd be like 6 or 7 people play, and like
How
you'd have like
how many people watching? Like,
Maybe like 30. I reckon 30.
I think count all the other bands that were playing.
Oh, yeah.
well, you know, it's different to what you're doing now. You know, what did you take away from that first gig? Was there a big learning curve?
I feel like it was just like the adrenaline that you get after you play a set, and now we're chasing that every time we play. We come off and like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, next gig was at Indie Bar.
Right,
That was way more scary.
Mm.
Yeah. I remember going into the bathroom and just like looking at myself in the mirror and like trying to psych myself up.
Classic. I think, you know, every performer probably has gone through that at some point. Yeah. But like looking at your live performances, you know, with your brand of music, you know, it's high energy, you know, it's exciting. How do you translate what your music is into a live performance? What energy do you come at it with?
Oh, we just pretty much just go nuts.
Yeah. We always try and play with super high energy.
Super high energy.
And Brody, the bass player, always says before every gig, like no matter if it's 1 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people, we're gonna like act like
Bring the energy.
Yep. bring the energy and just play for us. And if we're having a good time, everyone else will have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what we try and portray on stage.
Is there a favourite gig so far?
Oh, we played with Fiddler a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's hard
and
to
the
not-
Terrys as well.
Yeah.
That was like by far our biggest gig to date. So
Yeah,
that was
and Metro's
definitely
Frio, the stage.
biggest
is
stage,
huge.
biggest venue.
Yeah.
It's like a 1,200 cap venue.
Yeah.
And like the biggest venue other than that was probably like a sold out indie bar, 400 people. So like
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest we'd played. So like, yeah, it was nuts.
And getting to meet the Terrys and Fiddler was
yeah,
so
insane.
cool. Yeah.
That's sick.
The latest track is Bury Me.
Yep.
Can you tell me where this one came from?
Just really wanted to make a super kind of epic kind of song.
Yeah,
I don't know,
right.
just kind of leaning kind of similar to some other tracks on the EP, just like keeping it heavy and yeah, just trying to make it like as big as possible.
Yeah,
I think
real
that's just-
anthemic tune.
Exactly, yeah. Actually, yeah, it came out today, so
Oh, is it today?
Today, yeah.
All right, yeah, we'll listen to that one now. What's the writing process for a song like this?
normally I will start the writing process with like a riff or like a chord progression or something.
Right, yeah, so
and
it
then-
starts off with music before
Yeah.
lyrics, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much always
Yeah.
now.
Usually vocals and lyrics are like the last thing.
Right,
Used to be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But now that I'm like, can actually play my instrument a bit. It's
I
like,
remember,
wait.
yeah, I remember for title track, we recorded the whole song and we didn't know, we hadn't even written a single lyric. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
it's
sure.
kind of like the
Yeah.
same with these two.
Yeah.
That we've just, with Bury Me and our next one coming out.
Yeah.
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 I always like to highlight, you know, as I do my research for these interviews, some of the stranger things I find. This one was actually courtesy of Declan Byrne from Triple J. And his quote on this latest track was, "This is a thick,
Yeah.
juicy meat patty sort of burger. No thin and dry action. You're struggling to get your mouth around this sizey effort from late 90s." One of the stranger, but still a glowing endorsement. You know, what does a review like this mean to you guys?
Oh, I remember just like refreshing the Unearth page and like, seeing that, and I was like, "What the hell?" But thank you, but that is an odd.
Makes me want a burger.
Yeah,
Makes you hungry. Yeah.
some Royales maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so like, you know, last year though, a massive endorsement you got was when Title Track gets played on BBC Radio 1.
Yeah.
In that moment you go, yeah, we're international. Like,
Yeah, that was a surreal feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nell was the presenter. He just like messaged us and he was like, "All right, lads,
Late 90s.
who represents you guys in the UK?" And we were like, "Huh?"
we represent
Like, who?
ourselves everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "Who plugs you guys' music?" And like, we're just like, "Oh, us."
Yeah.
yeah. That
Yeah.
moment when you hear your song actually get played on
Yeah.
a station like BBC Radio, what's that like for you guys?
Oh, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
blew our minds.
yeah, it's like we haven't got like a huge amount of support from Triple J, but then like
Right, yeah.
BBC's way bigger, so it's like would prefer that.
Yeah,
but
you'd
it's
prefer
just
that, wouldn't
kind
you?
of funny, like in our own country.
Mm.
Yeah, it was quite strange when the last EP dropped that we're getting played, I think, every week on BBC,
Yeah,
and I think we got played twice.
yeah, we got
On Triple J.
Yeah.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So
Interesting, but
Yeah.
hopefully Triple J can catch up and realize that we're not that bad.
So the challenge of that, of actually getting plays and getting recognition here in your own country, whereas in somebody else's country in a different place you're getting plays. What's that like? You know, what's the fix to that? How do you address that?
I think you just got to keep grinding, keep playing gigs,
Yeah.
keep releasing music, keep pestering Triple J, and then hopefully it'll come around. And then we've got our first tour, so we're going to head over east next week.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that'll help a bit too.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of the next question. What's next? You know, what's on the docket?
Yeah, well, yeah, next
Yeah.
Thursday, 5
Next
a.m.
Thursday,
4 a.m. We're
we're
going to be
fly
in the airport.
out. We're playing Brisbane
Yeah.
on the 20th at the Tomcat. 21st, we're playing
Crowbar.
Crowbar,
Mm.
Sydney. And then the 22nd, we're playing Melbourne.
Bad decisions,
Bad
bar.
decisions
Bad
in
Decisions.
Fitzroy.
Classic.
And then we've got one day to just relax before we come back. The
2
three,
days.
three. Oh yeah.
We fly out Monday night, so we can just kind of.
Right. Yeah.
The three shows in 3 days is going to be.
Yeah. Hectic.
be
Yeah,
hectic,
the old
yeah.
vocal cords are gonna be a bit sore. Gonna be drinking the honey and chamomile teas for
Yes.
sure.
Absolutely. So this is the first proper tour.
Yeah,
First-
first time
First-
out of WA. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the planning and logistics like from your end for setting up your first tour, especially 3 shows in 3 days?
Yeah. Well, we got recently signed with the booking agent, Destroy All Lines, so that helped a heap with booking the shows over there. And then applied for some grants, which we'll hope will fund the tour.
Yeah.
And we're meant to hear back 2 weeks ago, but we still haven't heard back. So
Right.
I emailed them the other week, and they were like, "Yeah, you'll probably hear back the 19th, and we fly out on the 20th." So it's
Right.
cutting it real tight.
Yeah.
So
Just like arrive in Brisbane, like in the afternoon, just like Airbnb. We're just like.
yeah. So
backpacking
we've set up some
hotel.
contingency plans. We've got some
Yeah.
couches and some floors that we can
Yeah,
sleep
yeah.
on if all else fails.
Oh well. Hopefully you do get there. You know. Before I do let you guys go, you know, a couple of reflection questions we love to ask everyone here on the show. You know, the first is looking back at what's happened so far for late 90s. You know, is there a specific lesson you've learned or something you might change?
I think just keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know, we kind of hit not a wall, but like before we
Yeah,
put the
bit of a
EP out,
plateau.
we were
Yeah.
kind of just like releasing music, playing shows, but like nothing much was kind of happening. And then we were pretty fortunate with how the EP went with like BBC stuff and with Spotify. So yeah, you know, if you just keep going.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Keep plugging away, and then
eventually things will turn out.
Yeah.
something will hit. Someone will hear something, and then it'll start going up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, a hypothetical we pose is your 15-year-old self is sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
What advice are you giving him?
I'd probably say, just be yourself. And I remember during high school and stuff, I would always try and kind of fit into to the other groups. And then since leaving school, I'm kind of like, I can just do what I want, be who I want to be, and it's so much better. And you find a lot more friends that you genuinely like, and that's the way to go. Just don't care about what other people say.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably tell myself everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Just like keep doing what you're doing and do things that you enjoy, and like ultimately people respect you more for being yourself. So don't do things that aren't.
And if you do singing lessons, just own it.
Just own up to
own
it.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Can't say it any better than that, I reckon. Before I do let you go, chance to plug yourselves. Where can we find you guys?
Late.90s on Instagram, and then late 90s
on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. If you got Twitter, Late 90s Band.
We got TikTok, Late 90s Band.
TikTok,
Yeah.
TikTok's hard, man.
It's tough.
Yeah.
We find it tough here as well. But that being said, you can find us, student_edge on Instagram, Student Edge, one word on TikTok. Search us up, Student Edge on YouTube, or head to studentedge.org for all our articles, podcasts, deals, competitions, career tips, education advice, and much, much more. Elliot, Steve, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.